Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Galactic History Show. I'm one of your co-hosts today, Chris Hales. We've got a very special show today because we're going to be introducing another part-time co-host, and we have a special guest. And what we don't have is we don't have the Galactic Historian in the room just at the moment, but he's just having a little difficulty with his phone, but I think we've fixed it. Here he is.
There we are.
Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning, guys. How you doing today?
We're doing really well.
Good.
Doing really well. I'll just finish introducing everybody because we just managed to get on air. With me is Lance White, co-host. How are you, Lance?
Good. Thank you, Chris.
And we have two special guests today. First of all, someone who's going to be co-hosting probably once a week. And that's Hope Moore. Hope, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. Hello, everyone. Glad to be here.
Indeed. Hope's going to be supplying some female energy on a regular basis, as is the next guest, Nickie Thetsy. How are you, Nicke?
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
Most welcome. Nicke was on yesterday for a little while at the end of the show and started to tell her story, which is a really big one. So we've held it over for today. And going to be quite a busy show then. So without further ado, Andrew, we've got a few questions from yesterday, and there are a bunch of callers. Now, we didn't manage to do really many callers at the end of the show yesterday, so I was going to do some pretty much first up for a little while, and then we'll jump into Nicke's story. Okay, so
I'm game for whatever. The Galactic Historian is here and present and fully fed from IHOP in Sequim, Washington. And we got them to serve us and eat and get back in like 28 minutes. So we don't time it.
Wow.
Well done.
Exactly.
I have to add to that is when you hang around with us, you'll experience no time, and it really feels like it's timeless when you're around, especially Andrew. He'll set up this no time zone, and then once you're out of that, it's almost like you start hearing buzzing of the car and civilization again. So it is a huge difference. So when you hear when Andrew talks about no time, that really exists. Okay,
yeah,
because there are people out there who's not as intuitive. They can't differentiate the difference. So I'm here to confirm that for those of you who are listening.
I even no time the IHOP chef.
Well, just to make sure he had time to take his time and do a good job.
It was wonderful. I had biscuits and gravy and sausage, and it was worth it.
Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. Actually, I have two questions for you, Andrew.
Sure.
Just to start off the questioning part of it, this came up yesterday. Someone wanted to know where the name Galactic Historian came from. Whose idea was that?
That's a really good question. That stems back to a philosophical organization that stemmed from the Arcturian and Andromedan. I'm going to call them legions, but it's not a military concept. And what these legions did was go out and search for history that was forgotten, and they would make records of it. And they would go to different worlds and learn their Akashic records and share it with the very founding Arcturian collectives. This was at the very youngest age of the Arcturian homeworlds, when their full concept of the collective hadn't been fully explored. And there were a series of other races that were insectoid that had been collecting records from other worlds and suspending them in there's a thing they did excrete out of their mouth, and this excretion would turn into a crystal, and that excretion had the entire expression of what it is that they learned. And they shared this psychic technology with the Arcturians, who bred it into their Weaver crystals, so that they could go to a world and literally get a copy of the Akashic record of that world. But it was only up until that moment in which they came there, so there were regular exploration things to the various parts of the galaxy to update the galactic history. Well, there was a big scenario where the Arcturian collective was infiltrated by a group that was trying to copy and corrupt this information, and a significant portion of it was corrupted. This is what led to the Arcturians separating collectives into collectives into collectives, so if one is corrupted, the whole isn't. And the Galactic Historian whole, when I'm going to say concept, it isn't a concept. The first person manifested out of that information that was being recreated. Think of it like Amelia Benz describes herself as a source stream that comes for a specific first purpose with no past lives or future lives. The first Galactic Historian would have been about 89 million years ago, and that first person was an androgynous entity, no sex, and lived for many millions of years and would travel with the species and confirm the information that was being taken from copied from a planet as being authentic. When that being passed on, he passed a lineage on to a whole race. So that race would choose one or two people every 1,000 generations to be a candidate to be Galactic Historian. When I migrated from another universe here, I became part of that race and became part of that candidacy process. The second and third Galactic Historians, who came in around 31 million years ago, that's when the real pickup of the time wars began and the time pollution, and that's where the whole idea of the Galactic Historians thing was no more secrets. Because as long as there are secrets, the system of domination and control and the system of dominion fighting the domination and control would be able to limit people's free will. So that's how it stemmed from. And then there was a series of two others after that, and as I said, the last one did not survive very well. He was erased from history, had a horrible death. It was to make a point, if another Galactic Historian comes forward, that they were going to make it as hard as possible for him. And the thing is, when I chose, there were four others ahead of me in this world right now. When I chose, it was because I was already in paradox remedy reality, and there's nothing they could do to eliminate me without eliminating much of their own plans, because I'm soul family to everyone. I purposely did that part of the candidacy process. So this entire drama, it's like me watching a TV series for the last 10 years. You just know the outcome. You can just understand the plays and the moves. And that gave me a deep understanding of the data that I'm recovering so that we understand the big picture of what's going on.
So the role you're playing is specialized beyond imagination as far as this galaxy, this universe is concerned.
Correct. It's specifically for this time, this place. I say frequently I'm linked to the Akashic records of 20,000 other worlds. That's the 20,000 other worlds that have invested time travelers, timeline genocide, technology, or the need of DNA for their species to survive. Wherever a human has been taken or enslaved or taken with goodwill intentions, it's recorded on the Akashic records of other worlds, which creates a time micro paradox on that Akashic world, because that being doesn't truly exist, even though it does exist. That's how the timeline pollution has changed, and that's the purpose of the Galactic Historian, is to go into the deepest depths of this scenario and this timeline to explain to all the races that are working out there. For every person you've taken off this planet, you have spread the time pollution beyond the walls of this planet, of the solar system.
Do races like the Lemurians that we currently have been discussing in relation to their activities on the timeline, are they aware of you and your role in history as well as you now?
They are aware of who I am, and there's been a significant amount of conversations, both positive, negative, and neutral. There is a political organization that believes I am a paradox and that they are the remedy, and that my existence proves their point. Okay? Mm-hmm. And then there's another group who is completely opposite of it, that says that my existence as a galactic historian in the paradox remedy proves my point. Because there's two sides. One that says Lemurians have the sovereign free will right to return to their pristine timeline before genocide occurred. And the other one is they've lost, and everything that they've done since then has made it worse, and they are now affecting the sovereign free will of not only this species here on Earth, but tens of thousands of other worlds are now being drastically affected by their actions.
Which is dominating their view at the moment?
That's the thing. There's a third point of view, and that third point of view is to have our world and their world come into a union, and that union allows us, the people that are trapped in Lemurian time, to jump forward in time to our paradox reality, and those in our paradox reality who believe they're still Lemurians to go back to Lemurian time and allow the separation of density between the two paradoxes resolve itself. And that should create unity consciousness so that the Lemurians can still exist, and then we can still have our graduation. But that leaves who's going to be the mighty I am self at the resolution of unity consciousness. So it's a third, and when you have 33, 33, 33, there's that 1% that switches it over, and that 1% is the people that are still locked outside of time. That's that 108 billion people that are locked outside. They still get their impressive vote also.
Are they actually still 108 billion? Because they've been there a long time. What's become of them?
The thing is, it's really hard to describe. Once they're locked out of time, they figured ways to get back into reality by the spirit rules and the universal laws, where they could incarnate back into the universe and find a way back to Earth through the incarnation process, and having to leapfrog from world to world to world.
Okay, but they specifically want to come back here.
Correct. They want to come back here, and it is their sovereign right to. So there's a whole lot of compassion needed here. The political organizations in Lemurians, they don't have the compassion. They're sixth and seventh dimensional entities, and many of them look at us as the broken down mutts that have lost their true essence. But that's also wrong in their expression too, because they ultimately know. Because I've had that conversation with many of them. That's the words of domination and control when you're using that, and you're speaking out of anger and fear. And my representation here, Nickie's representation here, the fact that this world, all 66 planets are quarantined, this entire solar system is quarantined. In fact, the quarantine extends thousands of light years beyond our solar system, so there's layers upon layers that if anything was going to get here, it would be fortress after fortress after fortress after fortress that they'd have to individually invade and remove all of the layers of protection that lead you deep into the center. So the Lemurians realize that there are thousands of species that are quarantining this planet to preventing this, and the political organizations just look at that and go, for that to occur, there had to have been something so massive that they don't understand, that, for these races to come together that would never come together before.
Huge story, huge. Now, Lance and Hope, do you have any questions for Andrew on this issue at the moment?
Yes, this is Hope, and hello, Andrew.
Hey,
I wanted to ask if you could you touch a little bit more? You mentioned compassion, the compassion that's needed. Could you just expand on that a little bit more, because that's something that really resonates with me.
All right, we're in a situation where there are light entities and dark entities that have been in service to this world for so long that they've lost some of their free will to the service. And like some of the dark entities, they're contracted to be dark entities and have no way out. And they were only contracted to be here a few thousand years. And they're here millions of years now. Okay? And there are other people that, we look in our society, the people that have been caught by the drug stings or the prostitution rings, and that was the only way they're able to make money and to feed their family. That's compassion on the micro level. Compassion and forgiveness on the macro level is these beings that have literally sacrificed their existence to the point where they had to give away all of their sovereignty, virtually all of their soul, until they are a tiny spark totally controlled by the system of domination and control. Those beings are going to need forgiveness and compassion. They're going to need people to honor them as ancestors so that they can pass into the spirit world and have a full life review. And when they have that full life review, they'll begin to understand, we as a people, we have chosen this path, even though we weren't fully informed. The other entities that realized we were choosing the path went down the path with us. They are still our brothers and sisters, and they need some level of compassion, forgiveness. And then there will be those entities that will accept no compassion or forgiveness, and those are the ones you pry power out of their cold, dead hands.
That compassion comes with wisdom as well. Okay, you don't just give out compassion with recklessly. It comes with wisdom. Yes, wisdom is very, very critical as part of the equation.
Yeah, this is an issue that's going to be put before all the people eventually on this planet.
That's right.
And that's the moment at which we show our true colours. Have we learned the lesson?
That's right.
And Lance, anything you wanted to ask Andrew at this point?
Yes, as part of the resolution between all of these various branches that seem to be working independently, like the Lemurians and the Inner Earth and the Arcturians and all the different groups that have their own agendas, is part of the process at this time making them aware of the larger picture and the hopelessness of them all maintaining the course that they're on, and what is their relationship to Prime Creator, and the need for Prime Creator to come in and resolve some of the things that were actually created by Prime Creator's lack
mistakes.
Yeah, errors, prime errors.
I'm going to break that question down. The first one is the different agendas. The Galactic Historian's purpose is to do exactly that. It's to show the big picture, because none of them know the big picture. You have 3,883 different races doing timeline wars, and virtually none of them are sharing what they're doing. So, yes, the Galactic Historian's purpose is to show the big picture. Is it hopelessness? It was hopelessness in the 700, 800, 900, and 1,000 ADs. But there became a mass migration of powerful resolution and remedy souls from worlds that specialize in universal law. And these beings have incarnated on Earth and literally are risking their full sovereignty and essence to be here. And they've embedded themselves into the foundations of our societies, from homeless people to doctors, lawyers, and judges. And many of the people, they don't know that they're these sovereign entities that are here to be assistance into universal law, education, and remedy. And they'll be triggered and activated, and those people will simply know who they are because their past life is linked to universal law. They spent many dozens of lifetimes in co-union, co-creation, and procreation with the universal laws to balance their own spirit so that they could be of service to us at this time. And they've lived here long enough to know what it's about here, so you can't say that they're posers, that they just popped in after our awakening. They've been here, and they've been in the thick of it for a long time.
That's one aspect, Andrew, that plays on my mind a little, because and I'm really glad to hear that all those beings are actually present on the planet, because at some point during the awakening process, the concepts of universal law are going to have to be introduced to the collective here on the planet consciously. And I've always wondered how, with all of the religious dogma, political dogma, confusion, how that's actually going to be reintroduced. And you just answered my question. So thank you for that.
They're already here.
Yep, they're ready to rock and roll. Look, we have one. I just have one more question, then we'll take a couple of calls. What are your limits on your ability to actually pull in information?
The only limits I have are the people asking me questions. Okay, and there are certain people that have literally things written to their contracts that say, I cannot find this information out from oracles, galactic historians, psychics, or people that can reach into the information field. It is my sovereign free will that this lifetime I must figure it out. So the questioner is the limitation. And I frequently said, I've asked every question I could possibly ask for my soul, and I did that as many as 13 years ago. I was done asking my questions. And since that time that I've opened myself to the Akashic Records, I've only had maybe 8 questions that I haven't researched myself. 10 questions.
Interesting. So there isn't any information you can't drill down to other than that. Well, if you're asking me a question about a book I've never read, can you drill down to anything in that book?
That's not the Galactic Historian's purpose. I can, as an individual, but it comes down to the razor's edge of the sacred neutral. What purpose does it truly serve the individual? If the individual is testing out of ego, then the record will reveal that. The layers of the person will reveal that. If it's a scientist that's there ultimately in the background to prove you don't exist, I don't need to prove I exist. I know I'm a paradox in a paradox remedy reality. I know my truth. The truths of others are their truth. The whole point of the Akashic Record is so that your heart begins to sing, so you understand that there are many millions of truths out there. There isn't one truth. And that's the suffrage of the soul that we're at now. Many of us are soul sick with truth. The Galactic Historian's purpose is to bring remedy, resolution, and healing so that we can understand that all of these truths apply to us, and the history behind those truths are vitally important of how we go forward in the universe as manifesting, co-creating beings.
How many beings are listening to this broadcast at the moment?
About 90 billion.
Well, welcome to all of those. The Akashic Record, this whole process began an incredibly long time ago with the Arcturians starting to just collect Akashic Records. Does that still go on?
Yes, that's one of their primary functions, as well as being consciousness exploration sentience. They create vehicles, they turn their bodies into energy, their energy manifests into several dozen will manifest themselves into energy and then come into one big energy being, and then they'll manifest their energy into a crystal and invite people to come inside the crystal. That crystal then will turn back into energy, and that's a vehicle of change, a vehicle of inspiration. It's got a theme, like it's going out on an exploration to find and inspire people with the people that it's creating this exploration with. They may take a 30-galaxy tour looking to inspire a new species with the wisdom that they have, or sharing of the collective information for those species that are ready for it. We have many Arcturian vehicles of what are called hope and change here, that they come in as an energy system, and there can be dozens and dozens of other races inside that vehicle, along with the Arcturians, creating an omnidirectional field of hope and change, so that we learn how to convert the spark of hope into the flow of change, and the flow of change into the understanding of love, and the understanding of love to the expressing of love, so that we as a species can heal at our core levels without having people to come in and give us a user manual on the healing.
I think I'm just feeling Hope Girl get a bit glowy there as you're talking about bringing hope here.
No, I'm just saying he just about summed up my role. That was beautiful.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and I like to add to that is, a lot of times there's so many layers and multi-dimensions of truth, and that there are people that are intuitive, and that depends on your different level of intuition. And there are those people that know their truth at 7th grade level, and there's like university level, So if you're looking at an academia system, it's kind of like that. There are many of light workers and master healer, if that's what they want to call themselves. Well, some of them are 8th grade, and they think they know everything. It's that truth, and it's not. And the reading that you get from them, they can only give you at the 8th grade level, when in fact there's more beyond that, even after you've finished PhD level. You see, so my suggestion for a listener is, when you get a reader or a healer to do work with you to help you speed up your healing process, make sure you decipher that. Go into your heart and decipher if they are the right and for your best of highest interest. And truth changes from day to day. It could be week to week. You may heal today, and the next day there's some other issues. But the best remedy is to go within and claiming your sovereignty. That's your safest. And not only that, when I say safest, it means that it does protect you. When you get attacked at a certain level, it will shield you from that as well.
Yep, thank you, Nicke.
Well said, Nicke. Well said. Truth is at many, many layers. We're at this point where many of the 8th grade truthers are going to have to suddenly realize, in reality, they're 3rd grade, because the density of the truth out there is coming like a freight train, and you can handle it. It's just a matter of understanding that fear is your limitation. Limitation creates your expectations. When you go through the basic fear processing modes, you can work through it really easy. Both Nicke and I talk about the easy button. Why do it the hard way? You're a multidimensional being with millions of years experience. You've been in the school. You've got your PhD in the School of Hard Knocks here in the Galactic Ascension machine. Use it. Take the easy way out. It's all right.
And understand that a lot of the fear comes from being programmed at such an early age in this lifetime, by our culture, media, family, religion, religious institute, name it, et cetera, et cetera. They brainwash us and create this fear within us. So by acknowledging that, now why am I having this fear? And the fear is not logical. Know that it's not logical. By that, then you allow yourself to be more open and accept what is more that's coming. See, the whole concept of this whole society brainwash us, all this mind control program, everything, is because they do have a great fear that you as an individual claim your own sovereignty. That's what they don't want. Once you claim that, you're out of the game. It's just like that Matrix movie. Once you take, was it the red pill, blue pill, you're out. So then but then you still have access to come inside the game and play that game, okay? And that's what they don't want you to do. They're in so much great fear that they went through all this trouble creating chaos and program to control your mind in our education, in our parenting, in everything that we do. What we eat, what we breathe, it's all control. To break away from that is the key is always claiming your own sovereignty.
Great message, Nicke. Thanks for that. Now, look, what I'd like to do is take a few of the calls that have been building up. You guys up for that?
Sure.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds great.
We'll start with area code 702. Okay. Good morning. What's your name and your question, please?
Hi, my name is Sarah. So excited to get in. Hi, everybody.
Hi. Could you repeat your name again?
Sarah.
Sarah. Thanks, Sarah. What can we do for you?
I was wondering about balance. I know this is the time when we want to bring together the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And as far as the balance goes, gosh, I had the question in my mind, and like, do you require a spiritual cord of equity if you are in a state of balance, if you have acquired that balance of masculine and feminine within yourself? And do you also require Akashic records? Go ahead.
No.
Sorry.
The answer is a spiritual cord of equity is for remedy and resolution on many things. It's so the mighty I am present self can understand that there is another mighty I am present self and another time stream that's a timeline genocide done to it, as well as fine print put into its contract. The spiritual cord of equity is used to summon your ancestors, is to bring them as part of the remedy and resolution, so that if there are extenuating circumstances that the mighty I am self doesn't fully understand because its truth may have been altered by some type of technology or spirituality, then the spiritual cord of equity is where you find remedy and resolution to these separate I am selves. So it is the tool that the ancestors had given us, knowing full well that we would get into a time where we wouldn't even know how to use it. It's one of the fundamental tools that was given to us as a species, and that includes everyone that's incarnated here. All of the 72 first species that have come here still have access to it because they are still all of our ancestors. So balance, every day is a tightrope walk of balance. And in a spiritual cord of equity is where you can determine your alignment to the earth and your unalignment to the system of domination or control. And it allows you to tweak that so that more ancestors can be present holding space, or you can begin to clear the karma of your ancestors by being present. And that's one of Nicke's specialties, as well as many other. But she understands the nature of karma of the ancestors, because that directly affects the I am presence of today.
Yes, tremendously. And I'm going to translate that for you in 3D human psychology and behavior for you. Whenever you, let's say you're trying to get a job, okay, and you know this job, you qualify for it, okay, and when you're close to getting it, you got the interview, but that's it, and they give you the best review, but they're not hiring you. Instead, they hire somebody else. So that's how the ancestral karma comes into play. When you sign up a contract, okay, they want you to hold up to it. And when you don't hold up, they're going to be like bugging you, just like a little 5-year-old. When he really gets hungry, he keeps bugging his mom, He'll whine, he'll cry, and prevent you from doing things that you wanted to do. So it's that same concept, if you will. Okay, and then that's why it's so important that we help them, release them, by providing blessings and healings. Send them off.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So how about, for example, Akashic records then? I'm feeling from my end, from what I can sense out there, that if you're in a state of balance, you're not going to even require Akashic records. In fact, I'm feeling something even more deeper than that, something to the degree that the next beings to be born are going to be born without contracts or anything to that degree. They're going to be born into this world as actually spirits of free will.
You're already that way.
So
You're already
what
a
are the
spirit of free will.
Akashic?
That's the Akashic records are the recording of a sentient existence on a planet. So you're already a full free will learner. That's literally the foundations of our universe and the foundations of our planet. It's built into the fundamentals of the reality. And what you're experiencing in that balance that you're talking about is literally a reemergence of the way we were supposed to live and be born.
Mm-hmm. So if you have fine print in your Akashic records, doesn't that impede on your free will?
You don't have fine print in your Akashic record. The Akashic record is a neutral recording of the sentience experience from the beginning of its incarnation pattern to its last incarnation pattern here. And if sentience leaves this planet and comes back later, the Akashic record returns and continues from the moment that they return to the planet.
I see. So it is just the contract itself that will have the fine print, and the Akashic record is just that, a recording.
It's just a neutral recording, and that's why one must be in a neutral presence to read it no longer than a few minutes, because the information of that sentience leads you into polarity. And being in the sacred neutral allows you to understand the information as a sentience life expression in total. So the Akashic record will go on and on and on. And why Earth's Akashic record is so vastly important than many others is because of the timeline wars that have been here and all of the people that have been forced to incarnate here. This is the only record of what's going on. There is no other records of where these beings went or are done. So this is where the rest of the universe gets to find where all the lost people went.
I see.
Okay.
I have one more question.
Hold on. Beyond the Lemurians, there are many, many more lost sentients that tried to arrive to Earth and that got caught in the paradox of no time and got spread to the void in between universes and had to figure out how to migrate into a universe they had never been into before. There's trillions of them. So the Earth record, when we finished our healing, there'll be others that come here that are looking for their lost brothers and sisters. And we need compassion for those races that have lost a third of their population and never once did harm to us.
I have another question, if that's okay.
We'll need to make it fairly quick.
Okay. I want to know what was the difference between light bodies and Merkabas. In my experience, I feel a Merkaba to be very inorganic and a light body to be a very, what it just is. It is a part of you. It is you.
Okay, a Merkaba is something that was created by metaphysical schools around 13 million years ago to allow people to do consciousness exploration through sacred geometry. The sacred geometry is something that the 3D brain could attach to, and that attachment created the vehicle of co-creative movement without the physical body. So it was a way to stay here in the world and yet let your consciousness go beyond the clouds and into the stars. And it is a consciousness creation vehicle, and it was something that was taught here so that we could learn to get out and then find our ancestors still in the stars. The star watching societies spread out the world know this through remote viewing, remote experiencing. The Merkaba, in its own way, conceptually by the industry, has been hijacked, and many positive and negative and false and true things have been added to its purpose. We as a DNA species can do all of that without the Merkaba. The Merkaba was brought here so that once we were dumbed down to the way we are today, that there could be a tool that would be passed down in history as long as it was protected from propaganda, could be a way for people to get out of this world during the end times of the unity consciousness coming in.
Okay, thanks for the question.
Light body, I'm sorry, as for light body, I just want to know what was the
light body is your DNA. You have your physical DNA representation, and then when you can't see that spectrum, it goes beyond. And your light body is always a part of your DNA because it's what completes the fetus.
Yes.
Okay?
That would make sense.
The infinite sentience connects to the finite body, and that's how you're linked to the skin suit.
Yes.
Okay, thanks for your question, Sarah. We'll move on to the next caller, and I just have one question in between that, Andrew. Is the Merkaba the only sacred geometric construct that's been used for that purpose, for consciousness exploration?
There's dozens of them.
Yeah.
The Merkaba was just the cookie cutter way to bring it about.
Yep.
It was the Ford Focus or Yugo, whatever you want to call it. It was the easy one to bring in that people could work with.
The Model T Ford. Yep. Okay, we'll take another call. Area code 612. Can we have your name and your question, please?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
welcome.
Hi, Chris. It's Elizabeth, Minnesota, the Love Revolution Warrior.
Oh, how are you, Elizabeth?
I'm walking down the hall. I'm at work. But I'm so excited. I just found out about this call last night. I stayed up till 3 in the morning listening to what I could. Oh, excuse me. Hi, Andrew, Nicke, Chris, and Hope. I love you all.
Hey.
And Lance is here too.
Lance and Lance Light. Love you guys. Okay, I'm so hungry for this. I've been waiting for this for ever since I heard about Andrew. And I'm very empowered and motivated to learn this for myself, and especially unplugging from the system with the declarations, the ones from Andrew, the ones we write, and empowering other people. Here's my question. Is that the right thing to do, or just keep it to myself and just work on myself? I mean, I want to tell the whole world. I want everybody to be ready for the event. I don't know. There's this desire in my heart. So that's my question.
The answer is both. It's a delicate balance of healing yourself enough so you're capable of healing others. And when you get into the process of healing others, how much more do you need yourself to heal, because you're expending a tremendous amount of energy to hold space for others' healing. And also to know if they don't want to be healed, you cannot heal them. There's a fine line between violating someone's sovereignty and telling them they can't smoke cigarettes, and then giving them a 30-minute diary on how cigarettes cause cancer. Whether it's true or not, you're violating that sentience energy aura. And the awakening is about giving the due honor and respect for each energy being's sovereign space of energy. That to achieve unity consciousness, we all must be in our sovereignty, fully protected in our sovereignty. And unity consciousness is the result of each person in their sovereignty on a world that is Earth Mother's sentience, because that is her fundamental rules. So yes, go out there and tell people, but understand you can burn yourself out and literally cause people to lose their sovereignty by doing it too hard and not protecting yourself. I regularly tell people to take Epsom salt baths or saltwater baths. They're vitally important for clearing off just the gunk we pick up as we walk around the world.
Can I add to that is, Andrew, for our caller, and that is, I came from a scientific background, and I like to give in terms of measurement and percentage. I suggest minimum of 50% healing for yourself, and you can gauge that to see what you're comfortable with. So it takes some exploration of what you're comfortable with. Every time we hold space, and I'm going to define that in human terms, is that you will have to deal with people that say, I'm not ready to be healed, like Andrew said. You're going to have a conversation. There'll be some upsetting things, words, actions, and you're going to have to think and how to deal with that. Do you let that go, or do you continue doing your work? And where do you draw the fine line of when to stop? And sometimes, yes, you have to let it go and allow it to just be. You cannot force others to heal when they're not ready. This is the hardest thing for me to deal with, because of knowing what you know. Okay, and also, like I said, if you give yourself 50%, that means you're always going to do healing for yourself, and then maybe putting 30%, if you're a professional healer, master healer, then you can do that, and then the 20%, giving voluntary to Mother Earth or the grid, however you want to work. But know that when you do your work of sharing, it's never free. You do get an exchange of energy that comes back to you. It may not come in the form of money, monetary value. It may come in abundance, or what we call good luck, the good luck charm. Okay, it comes in that. It comes in a form of maybe people sharing loves and hugs with you, things like that. Okay?
So are you guys saying listening to this galactic history is part of our healing, big healing?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't underestimate that, Elizabeth.
Yeah, and we each declare our sovereignty is in different levels for each person individually, is what you're saying? Each person has a different sovereignty?
That's
each
right.
person has a different layer, because each person's given away their sovereignty differently over the many millions of lifetimes you've been here. Wow. That's why the declarations I came up with were about identifying the system, not the individuals. It's the system you're removing power from.
And by the way, there's people doing those declarations because I've told them about it. I'm getting lots of testimonies. So we're doing it, you
Wonderful.
guys. Keep reading them. Good. So love you guys, and I'll let the other person go. Thank you, Chris, and everybody.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Talk to you again.
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to take, probably got time for 2 more calls before we press on. Just for the audience's information, we will be talking about Nicke and the work she does. Nicke is a light worker, an energy worker, and is somewhat like Andrew, I gather, somewhat at that level, and we'll go through her information a little later in the show and identify, for those who don't know Nicke, because some will, a bit more about her. But we'll take 2 more calls, a couple of calls that have been hanging on for a long time. Area code 510, could we have your question, please? Oh, and your name, too.
Hi there, guys. My name's Alexa. Thank you so much for spreading this frequency. My question actually has to do with something that Nicke was saying about clearing karma by being present. And I was wondering how, I know that's a big theme in my life, and I was wondering how my Akashic relationship with my father is playing out and what I can know in this lifetime to help me clear that.
Yeah. Alexa, we're not really doing any personal readings on this show. I'll let Nicke take this one if she thinks there's a general comment to be made, but we're actually avoiding personal questions at this point in time.
Okay. Thank you for calling, and we'll keep it general, okay, because that requires some really deep healing. You do have a lot of issues with your father, and also this has to do with you. A lot of it is with you, okay, and I can see that you need a lot of healing, very, very deep healing since as a little girl, 1 to 3 years old, 4, 5, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and then 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So we'll end at 21. So those are the ages you need to deal with issue by issue. So I just read you pretty much all those years. Okay, you really need to take a look at that. And yes, you do need to go and do ancestral karma healing with your father and also within yourself, because this karma is what you carry from. And if you want more information, I do have a website. It's www.tnano.net. That is available for you to explore and see what that sounds like for you. Okay, and remember, we have technology to help us. You know, we like that easy button. That's why we create the most amazing Android, iPhone, Wi-Fi computers. It's the easy access communication. We have Nike shoes. We have dishwasher. They're all technologies to help make our life easier. As a psychic energy healer, that's what they're here for too. Okay, it's to help you get rid of a lot of that healing and the ancestral karma much faster. Okay, and we are in a special timing right now to have those access. Okay, so do consider that. I know many people wanted to do themselves, but it just takes a really long time. And life happens, right? Because we have job, we have family, a lot of distractions. We have to keep up, maintain our lives, pay for the roof, things like that. So do consider getting some kind of assistant to help you on a faster rate. Okay? Thank you for calling.
Yep. Okay, we'll move on to area code 505. Good morning. Could we have your name and your question, please?
Yes, my name is Tanis, and my question is for Andrew, and it's about the soul contract removal declarations, the one that is about women and their unborn and born newborn children, the one that he's in the process of writing. Yep. And I wanted to, in my life, the option that I felt that I had a number of years ago was abortion in order to end a life that held contracts that I felt I could not support the child within me to be able to clear or move forward in a powerful way in the world. I didn't have the skill. And so in some way, I'm asking if you could address the idea of abortion. I don't know if it's appropriate, but maybe address that somehow in the truth of that declaration.
I can, and it's a tough one to talk about because, unfortunately, abortion is domination and control. Okay?
Oh, yes, it is.
It is domination and control to the extreme. And for those women that have been through abortions, that was a choice given to them because there were no other choices allowed to them or no other choices that were shown to them. So there are always choices when it comes to the contracts of a baby. And if you're in a situation where you don't want to give an abortion, you can deliver the contracts to the sovereign free will of the baby and find a home that the baby will go to. But the system that takes these babies is just as destructive. So you have to be thorough, absolutely thorough when dealing with the system, the social workers, the temporary housing, so on and so forth. So all that needs to be included in there. And what I'm writing right now is in the attempt to get all that in there. But there are some people that it won't need to have an abortion section in, and there are others that will need to have two sections, an abortion section and then how to return to a natural birth after having an abortion. So it is vital that that be in there, and it's also not. Because there are many women that have had no abortion and have never been in a scenario where they'd even want to consider one. Their first option is give the child away to a family that knows it, that they've personally done the research on, that know that that would be a good family because they're unable to have children for whatever reason. You know, there are so many babies in the world. There are so many babies in the world that have nowhere to go because those parents don't have the tools to find the right families.
I hear you, and I also am hearing, it's okay. There was two other quick things that I wanted to put in. One is there is a word that's often used in our current society and current way of being, and that word that's used often is called release. And
release.
It's release, and it's come up again and again over the past few days, and in the wordings that you've used in the declarations, I have really started to look at words and the words that I use, the languaging that I use, and you brought that to my attention because of the ideas of news releases of liens, releases on car loans, mortgages, stuff like that. So I took the opportunity to look it up, release, in Webster's New Collegiate Dictionary from a number of years ago, and under the whole thing of release, it gave me all kinds of definitions of things, and then at the very bottom it said, with an 1828 entry, release, return to lease again, release, to lease again. And so, when in New Age speak, a lot of people use the term release this and release that. And my thought is to lease again. So it's bound again into a system that we are indeed in sovereignty trying to remove.
Correct. That's the duality of our sacred geometry linguistics. And that's the key to the spiritual court of equity. There is no duality in your linguistics. It's understood by the ancestors from your cadence of your heart. Our linguistics is literally limited by cadence and by words so that our intonations and energy put behind the words are truly limited in vibration so we cannot truly get what we want, that we're speaking in duality terms in the 3D matrix. Okay. That's why the English language is such a difficult language for other people to learn, because it is so duality and crafted as duality that it's vile at times. In me choosing the English language to speak the Galactic Historian Sacred Neutral Record in was probably the most difficult. I could have tried to done it in Spanish, and would it have succeeded as well as English? No. The Spanish language, it wouldn't have. It had to be done in the epitome of the sacred geometry linguistics of limitation. Could it have been done in Latin? No. Could it have been done in Japanese or Chinese? No. It had to be done in English. English is the domination and control language of the world.
Okay, Tamis, we'll actually move. Well, sorry, Tamis, we will move on from here because we've got one more question to go, and I need to really try and keep on schedule this show so we can speak to Nicke and to Hope a bit after the break. But thank you for your question, and I hope that helps.
It does, and I'm just asking if you could do a show around music and sound and the role that the sound plays in healing as we reach 6.8 hertz to 13 hertz as internal resonance in perfect harmony with the new earth.
I would definitely do a show on sound healing and the new resonance of the earth energies. Absolutely.
That'd be fun.
I appreciate all that you are doing. Thank you so much, all of you.
And thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Cheers. Yes. Okay, we have one more person that's been hanging on for the whole time, so we'll find out what's on their mind. Area code 480, could we have your name and your question, please?
Oh, I'm all right. I just called to listen. I'm sorry.
That's okay. If you press 1 on your pad, you will put your hand down, and that'll be fine. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I'll take the next one along, which has been on the longest, area code 806. Hi, could we have your name and your question, please?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hello?
You're good.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Ruben. Greetings, everybody. Trust everybody is in good form and spirit. I have a couple of suggestions and maybe one question if I have the time. But my idea is that I'd like to see Andrew get a little bit deeper in the matrix and try and appear on the Mike Harris radio show, e-radio show. Mike Harris is one of the editors at Veterans Today, and they do a phenomenal job of trying to bring out the domination and control scenario to the general public. They have a mass amount of good metaphysical articles, but if Andrew could get on with Mike Harris, I think that would be great exposure. Also, another venue I would like to see him in is, since he mentioned this is an info war, I would like to see him on the InfoWars show with Alex Jones. Alex Jones is open to metaphysical concepts. He does have David Icke appear every once in a while.
Ruben, I'm liking the way you're thinking. I've actually heard some of Mike Harris's shows, and because of his connection to that military website, Veterans Today, that could be very interesting. We might explore that. As for Alex Jones, if you get a word in edgewise between the ranting, he's actually very much, in my view, a very controlled source of information in the Matrix. But yeah, very interesting suggestions. Andrew, what do you feel about those two?
Oh, I would go on both of those shows. It's just a matter of getting past the mediators of the content. You know, for them to go blindly and not understand who I am and just put me on a show, I mean, it'd be like you, Chris, you know, only having a couple minutes of understanding. They'd have to at least listen to one or two shows to understand how deep I go, because it's the nature of the question.
Right. I understand that. Yeah. Well, see, I'll do some groundwork and email the guys, but boy, that would be if you were on the Alex Jones show with your information, Andrew, you could knock the socks off of a lot of people real quick. And I do understand your concerns. Go ahead.
The 3 Walking in Energy shows lay the system of domination and control down, and then the 20 half-hour episodes I did with Lance take it into the highest end of detail that there's nothing left about the system of domination and control I didn't talk about.
Right. But you would have to gear this towards the general public for starters. But anyway, I think that connection really needs to be made. Whatever Alex Jones is, whoever he works for, it's his venue we're after, and I think he'd fall in line with you real quick. Anyway, I've heard him talking to David Icke and a few other people about metaphysics, and he's open to the concepts. But like you say, yeah, you would need some preview stuff on for both of them. I don't know if you know. According to Kerry Cassidy, Gordon Duff is tasked with soft disclosure. According to Cassidy, he is in MJ12. I don't know if that's true or not. But anyway, let me throw a question at you. You were talking yesterday about information fields. I remember something about plastic. That plastic would not exist if it wasn't somewhere in the consciousness of humans. Do you have anything on that?
I have to laugh, actually, because plastic was actually invented by a Lemurian. That time traveled to about 600 A.D. Mistakenly, he was trying to return to his own time, and because he was locked outside of time, and he needed to figure out a way to get gold and silver to make an alchemical lab so he could put himself back in time. So what he did was invent plastic and sold it to other alchemical organizations, honestly. And then finally, when plastic was needed, they brought it out into the industrialization system.
Interesting.
Okay.
Well, Ruben,
thanks
for your comments, Ruben. We'll be looking into Mike Harris particularly because I think he's probably the best one to start with. Thanks, Ruben. Cheers.
Okay, great.
Whoops, sorry, I cut you off there, Ruben. Sounded like you said you'll be listening. Okay, we're right on the hour, which is spot on time. Really good. And my conscience as far as missing callers the last few days has now been assuaged, so we've got a few callers under our belt, which is really good. Because we do get a lot of calls. I'm sitting here looking at a lot more people with their hand up, but we just don't have time in a 2-hour show to do too many calls. Interesting and useful though they are. So, folks, what I'll do is put on some music for a few minutes so we can take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit to Hope so that people listening to the show know a little bit more about her. And then we'll get into some details about the world of Nickie Thetsy.
Awesome.
Okay, so I'll put on about 6 minutes of music. It'll be
6-minute break, all right.
And we're going to start with a very appropriate song called Mad World. So, see you on the other side.
Going nowhere, going
No timed.
and we're back. Yeah, look, the folks, the stream gets muted while we're playing the songs, and Andrew just sprinted back into the room, literally just as the song ended. So nicely timed. So did Nicke. Very good.
No timed.
No time. Exactly. So we can relax a little bit for the second half. I really wanted to get through some callers, which was excellent. Really good questions, as usual. Get some great questions. And I wanted to start off this half just by talking to Hope for a few minutes, just so the audience, some will know Hope Girl and some will not. So, Hope, welcome to the little party.
What an amazing party this is. It's so great to be here. And I have to say, the questions from the callers were great, and the answers were incredibly helpful to me as well. Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Now, Hope, you've actually got quite a short history in wandering the rabbit hole maze. It's really only been a year or so since you really jumped into this level. Do you want to give a quick thumbnail version of your path for the last year?
Yes, I am quite the baby. I was, professionally, I was working in corporate and government finance, and I was a whistleblower and lost my job, and that particular experience forced me to try to ask some questions as to what was going on and what the real truth was about what happened and why there was so much corruption. And because of that, I started watching documentaries and reading thousands of pages of information. And in a fast and furious way, for me, I was awakened to all of this information that was new to me at that time. So I spent about 3 months just assimilating information, so much of it, and just each day was another mind-blowing experience. And then from that, I put it all together into a blog post and put that out there to the people, and I got some incredible feedback from it, and it's just kind of organically evolved from that. I created the Fix the World organization as a way to try to help people take their ideas, because there's other people that are waking up too who have inspiration and creativity coming through them. And I wanted to use my business skills to help people create this new paradigm, to turn their ideas into projects. So that's basically the organization I have now, which is the Fix the World organization. And, we are a whole bunch of people from many different groups all over the planet just trying to, I guess, heal the problems of our world. And it's been an incredible, amazing journey. And it's interesting because when you start digging into this information, and for me, I started with finance. I wanted to understand what was going on financially in the world on a global level. And the financial documentaries led me into all of this metaphysical information, because I started to recognize, it's the same families that are dominating things. It's a certain form of energy. I started to see that control. I started to understand in my own way about how we've been enslaved. And it's kind of hard to recap in just a few minutes, but that's I hope I did a pretty good job of just telling you where I come from and where I've been, where I'm going. So yeah. I'm glad to be here. Yeah.
It's very, very fast track. Just for 3 months research, folks. Hope is an analyst at every level. She digests huge amounts of information very quickly. And Andrew, I suspect that's one of the reasons why you pulled her on here, apart from the fact of her very, very obvious divine energy, divine feminine energy.
Absolutely. And as I told both you and Lance privately, the Venusian philosophers and the Venusa organizations are coming out en masse now to support the people in their sovereign free will. And Hope Girl's story of the Fix the World campaign, the Fix the World project, I remember when Hope Girl first came onto the scene, and she's trying to spread her word through the different social medias, and I instantly recognized who she was and her purpose, and I was absolutely proud that another powerful sacred feminine light being had come to this world and made a stand and put her sign into the air saying no more domination and control.
Oh, Andrew, thank you so much. That means the world to me. Thank you.
It means the world to me that the group of us are here right now saying no, standing up in our sovereignty and our free will in the light beings that we are and saying we can change this. I remember privately when you read the banking revocations, the energy that was going through you. You wish to share that with the audience?
Oh, I would love to. I read the banking revocations. I was on a private call with Andrew and Chris, and I think this is when we first met, actually, and we went through, and I read them out loud, and just where I was at in that moment of now, in my spirit, I was going through a lot of different struggles and challenges in my personal life and trying to get things going, and I read that, and the power that came through was just claiming my power and saying, no, I'm not going to be dominated anymore. I'm not going to allow this to happen. And to be honest, I have to say that I still am a baby to a lot of this information. So, I'm still assimilating it. I'm still trying to understand exactly what it meant on a more detailed level. But what I can tell you is that my higher self, my I am presence, understood those words, and that's what was coming through me when I was reading that out loud. The power just, something shifted and something changed, and it definitely, for me, trickled down in reality, in my current reality. My life has been different since that day. I've had tremendous breakthroughs financially and in business and in the people I deal with. There have been huge breakthroughs. There's been a shift and a change in my spirit in a good way, and I feel like I'm really ready to take this on, this role that I'm supposed to play, and I just feel, I guess, empowered is the best way of putting it. And so I definitely would recommend reading those out loud to anybody who's listening, because it's certainly really helped to change my life.
Just a background, Hope's comment on things really changing. She actually pretty much ran out of resources not too long after we had that conversation, and put out a call, analysed her situation, wrote it up, put out a call for everyone to keep the Fix the World project going, because Fix the World has had a tremendous amount of support from around the world, and she was literally bowled over with support. It was she was flattened, would be a better way to put it, by just the sheer energy of the support. Do you want to talk about that, Hope? Because that was quite amazing.
Yeah. So. And I've spoken about this in a couple of other shows, but I'll start really quickly from the beginning of this experience so that people can get the whole story. The time in which I first spoke with Andrew and read those declarations, basically I had been going and building this organization based on faith. I've had the whole "if you build it, they will come" message being given to me over and over again, and I'm putting hours and hours and hours of my work, time, and energy into creating this for the people. And I suddenly hit this block where I realized, holy crap, I just ran out of money. And I'm at such a dire situation where if I don't come up with money like in 12 days, I need $2,000 in 12 days, or they're going to shut off my phone and my internet connection, and the world will lose hope, pretty much. And it just didn't make any sense to me because there was so much support energetically, but the money wasn't there. And so I reached into my heart and I did something that was very difficult for me to do, and I embraced my vulnerability in a very public way, and I put out this blog post to everyone that basically said, I need help. This is what I want to do. Here's all my numbers. I was as transparent as I possibly could think of being. I laid it all out on the line and let humanity know this is where I'm at and I need help. And within 24 hours, people all over the planet donated triple the amount that I needed. And it came in so fast and furious. My email, like every 5 seconds, I would check my email, and there was another donation, another donation. The power and the energy that came in with that outpouring of love from the people who said, yes, we believe in this new paradigm, we want this to happen, and the letters of support, it had me on my knees for the next 2 days at least. I could hardly even spell my own name. I was so overcome. I was in tears throughout most of the day because it was just, I felt the power. It surged through me. And the way I describe it is it felt like supernova starlight, just like blasting through my body, because I felt the love from the people and the planet. And I realized then and there that this is the energy that will flip this paradigm and bring us into the new world that we're all trying to create for each other, and to make all these corrections to this timeline manipulation that Andrew speaks about. This is the energy. It's that love and that compassion that is so much stronger than any world war or than any negative energy that could ever come through, because it had me on my knees. That was the experience that I had, and it's been an amazing adventure ever since that, just feeling it, knowing it, seeing it, and also to be able to give myself publicly, to put myself out there and have people walk through my experience and this story with me, because I've received dozens, maybe hundreds of emails from individuals who have told me that they read my story and it made them cry. And they were feeling this energy and this love as well, just by me sharing my experience. So I can say now that if I had to go through all of that pain and that vulnerability again, I would do it in a heartbeat, because I see how much it helped so many other people to realize this is what's important in this world.
Really beautifully said, Hope. And as a result of those donations, you're able to move your project to the next stage, which is to launch a software platform for crowdfunding and for making projects come into fruition.
Yes, and can I just take a minute to tell you what we've got? This is what the people wanted, and in addition to helping me, they helped to bring this forward. So we are launching actually a couple of different platforms. So one platform is the Fix the World website, which you can go to now, but it's actually right now as we speak, it's in transfer process. We've got some guys transferring the entire website over to a new platform. But the website address is www.fixtheworldproject.org. So you can go there now and check out our documentation. But within the next couple of days is what I'm hearing is the deadline. We will have a brand new platform and website. And what makes us unique for anyone who wants to participate is it's an open community where like-minded people can come together and meet others to share each other's visions. And then it also provides a lot of the tools that individuals might need to take their idea and turn them into a planet-changing project. So, an example would be you're in this world, you have a passion, you want to get out of your 9-to-5 job, whatever it is that you're experiencing in this amazing time, and you have a passion. You've got the heart, you've got the idea, you've got the vision. You just need some of those basic tools, like maybe you want to put it down into a plan on paper so you can have some kind of organization or structure behind it, which will help to strengthen it and anchor it in this in the new paradigm. Maybe you need some people that you want to talk to get some advice on things, or you need somebody that can share your vision and team up with you. So it's a way for projects to come into a community of people who are trying to create the new paradigm, find the different ideas and tools that they need in order to take their idea and bring it to the next level. And this website that we have coming out has so much more functionality than our previous website, because we're going to have forums and communities and groups that people can become a part of. So, to put it simply, it's kind of like Fix the World has its own Facebook, sort of like that. It's like that kind of interaction can happen on this new platform, which allows people to meet people and to get their tools that they might need, write a business plan, come up with a schedule and a budget. And then the second platform is a crowdfunding platform, which we can then put your project on that platform to give the people the opportunity to fund you, whether that be through, exchanging of value, whatever that might be, but just to open it up so that people can say, yes, I support your idea and your vision, and I can fund your project. So we have, a whole bunch of people giving small amounts, and it evens the playing field. It puts the power back into the hands of the people the way we've structured our entire organization is very much in alignment with allowing each individual to maintain their sovereignty, to have their organization or their business or their project to be a sovereign project because it's their vision, and we just act as a service to help and provide tools to help people along the way. So those are the new platforms that are coming, and they've been presented because of the people. And I have to say again, I am so incredibly grateful at what has been happening, and the way in which it's happened has been very divine, because I've been building and building, and then something will just be thrown into my lap, and it's like, okay, here's your next tool to help bring this to the world. And I've been meeting up with certain other partners that have been doing the same thing. They've been building for a year, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, by the way, I built this for you before I even met you, and so this is what we're going to use to bring this out to bring it to the people. So it's definitely magic. It's magic, and I feel that it's divinely protected and supported by millions of beings throughout our galaxy for bringing in this new paradigm.
Yes, it certainly is. At least I think so. So Andrew, we've got a powerhouse on the show here as co-host, and we're going to just dip into her analytical skills during our conversations.
That's
and
right.
Pull out those things that resonate with hope.
With hope. Hope, and there's so many words beyond that hope. Hope the person, hope the inspiration, hope the energy, and then the hope the word. Hope has come to her own sovereignty, to her own freedom, to her own understanding, long before she met either of you and I. And for have this powerhouse team of Lance White, Nickie Thetsy, Chris Hales, Hope Girl, and Andrew here now is so beautiful to me right now, because these are the beings stepping forward and saying, we can change this. And each of us has said it individually, and we've come together and saying, we, unity consciousness here now, can change it.
Hear, hear.
Absolutely.
Hear, hear.
Hear, hear.
That is beautiful, and thank you so much for sharing that with all of us. And I got to tell you, there are many light workers and all of those out there, and some of them are just sitting back and they're not contributing anything. There's a lot of people that consider themselves to be a light worker, and they're not taking the step up, to deal and with the reality and stand up for what is right. And I wanted to share this. One of my ultimate favorite quotes is from Dr. Martin Luther King, and it goes, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." And I know Hope have given us a lot of that and led as an example. There are many of you who do need to step up. Okay, it is time. And it's not going to be comfortable, okay? But I guarantee you, in the etheric world, okay, there's always rewards. There are always rewards waiting for your work, and you do get an upgrade. You will get an upgrade, okay, in so many levels. So the work is never free. It's never free. And for Hope to stand up against the military for what she believes in, that's huge. Not everyone is capable, and to even push it and manifest it in the 3D level that she's at.
There's a very, very huge amount of energy being released by a lot of beings around the planet who are stepping up. And we need more. We need everybody, and we need it now. Now is the time.
I'm gonna step here and say this. There's something I've said before. It's time to put down the pom-poms and stop being cheerleaders and stop saying, give me a U, give me an N, give me an I, give me a T, unity consciousness. Stand up and march.
Yes.
Stand up and march.
Amen.
Pitchforks and torches changed the world for 10,000 years. What we can do is you put a pitchfork on a sign and a torch on another sign. You get out there and march. And it's a nonviolent saying, we do not consent, we do not comply, we are uncooperative cooperatives.
Absolutely. And this is, there was a tremendous article I saw in on a website somewhere. I've probably got a link to it. But it's a demonstration, I believe, in Turkey on to support a couple who are actually arrested for kissing in public, and it's a photograph across a very large square with thousands and thousands of couples kissing. Yeah. So what are they going to do? And that's the sort of brilliant idea. Public demonstrations of peaceful non-cooperation and withdrawal of consent to be treated that way. And we just need some very creative people to come up with that kind of physical demonstration, and it's the Berlin Wall all over again.
That's right.
That's what we're looking for. Mm-hmm. So if anyone's got ideas out there about how to get out in public safely and let our feelings be known to the system of domination and control.
And we have to do it graciously, diplomatically, with high energy frequency. And bashing, judging, those do not work.
Definitely
not. It has to come from wisdom and compassion.
Yeah. Any physical demonstrations, we become them. And they know how to play that game because they're really good at it. They've had a lot of practice at it. Lance, you started to say something?
Well, I just agree that we have to come from a place of non-judgmentalism. Otherwise, we're just participating in the same thing that they want us to create.
Well, they'll harvest the energy and turn it against us.
Exactly, and they're harvesting anyway. So this is about removing ourselves from the harvest and shutting off the spigot of our own energy, so that we use it and we are not used.
Exactly. It's all about reclaiming that sovereignty. Look, that was a really great introduction, Hope, and welcome to the show. And I think you'll probably be on. Well, I don't know how much time can Hope spare.
I think you mentioned once a week. So if I'd love to do that. Come on once a week. Well,
you could do more. It's entirely up to you as to how much time you've got, and you'd always be welcome here, because what we need is for you to drop in with the analytical Hope and pull things out of Andrew's information that Lance and I don't necessarily pick up because of your differences of experience and your analytical abilities. So.
Looking forward to it.
That will be fun. And the same applies to Nicke, of course, although now we'll turn our attention on Nicke, because Nicke is, she's got an entirely unique journey. I suspect it's similar to Andrew's, and let's get into that now, Nicke. We've got half an hour left in the show, so we're going to go through your story for the listeners. I suspect that you had a very long soul trajectory to get to the here and now that you're in, like Andrew did. I mean, Andrew lived on thousands and thousands of worlds to set up the situation where he could come here and do the work he's doing. Was that the case for you?
Yes. I'm as old as Andrew. So we've been together in many journeys, in many, many, many lifetimes together.
So are we actually looking at a dynamic duo here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I've always feel like with him I feel safe, and I don't trust. I have very few trust to people. For other people at so many multiple levels, and with Andrew, I know he'll cover my back, and he also knows that I will cover his back. And considering like we hardly know each other, but on the etheric energy level, we always have that sense of knowing, that sense of this very deep ingrained trust for each other.
That's right.
Excellent. So, can you give us a obviously, it would take a long time to tell your whole story. Can you give us the thumbnail of what you've done in the past in other incarnations and how it led to here? Well, pick a few good ones, because it sounds like there's a long list.
Oh, there's a lot of good ones. Let's see. Okay, I'll try to put it in a nutshell for you. Okay, so my life is very interesting. Had a very, I would call it the Navy SEAL version of life training and it was very harsh. Lived through, Vietnam War, lost everything, lost my father. He was executed as a POW, lived through all of that. Took my whole family 6 years to get out. And to survive in America, so you could imagine not knowing the languages, and you have no friends, nothing, starting over again. So that's in the 3D. As a child, I've always known I had amazing gifts, and as much as I was very much alone, I never felt alone because I was seeing things, I was talking to things, and so that was the story. But also, on a deeper level, I came from a lineage of the Emperor of China in this lifetime, because we have a family record. Because of that, I came from a long history of a dragon family in itself. Okay, so this is on the 3D level. Now, on the etheric level, I'm also connected to another Emperor of China, which is another even longer lineage. I believe it's 691 BC, and so that means I have a lot of ancestral karma that I had to heal. So you can imagine.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And they came in so many forms, especially in dragon's form, and that was a massive healing process that I had to do on the etheric level. And to try to resolve it in a lifetime, it's just impossible. So many people wanted to do it. You can do 1 or 2 cases. Remember, you only have limited lifetime. But for me, I need that easy button, because I have the world to save. I got to do this, do that. I don't have the time, so I just do my practice in a ceremony form, and that just transcend everything faster. I mean, we're talking about 100 times faster. And so after I finished that, and that's when leaded me to Revolution Radio. I'm also a host right now on Revolution Radio.
Just slow it down a bit there, Nicke. We're rushing through the information here. I'd just like to drop back a little bit, because you mentioned your physical life and your etheric life.
Right.
And your physical life is that you're Laotian, and your family
Thai.
Is Thai. Okay.
Laos Chinese Thai. Yes.
Yep. And your family, how old were you when you physically arrived in America to start a new life after the Vietnam War, which we won't go into detail on because we're all aware of what a disaster
11.
that was.
I was
so about 11 years old. And could you speak English when you arrived?
No.
So did you get put straight into an English-speaking school?
Yes.
So with all of your talents and your abilities in the etheric, were you able to sort of learn English and integrate reasonably easily, or was that a tough one?
It took about 7 years, because I came from a multicultural family in itself, and because of that, we are already speaking about 5 languages. So I speak about 5 languages, and because of that, it was so English is my 3rd language, and it was a little bit challenging to integrate with the cultural, because the culture system here is very harsh compared to where we came from. And because of that, it took about 7 years. After I acclimated to the culture and the society, after that, college was piece of cake, and that's where I was able to earn 2 bachelor degrees and 1 master degree, and became a professor.
What were those degrees in?
Bachelor in psychology and arts, and I had a little bit of background in medicine, medical field, and then the Master of Education.
So you've got quite a bit of academic study under your belt, as well as
I decide to claim that, because in the 3D world, people do not give you the credibility for anything unless you have a paper that say that you are smart. When in fact there are PhD people that are just clueless and they have no common sense. And we you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm having a little chuckle here. Yep.
So, it's really within oneself. Even Bill Gates, he dropped out of school. He made it because he was into his, is into the development of his technology. He didn't really go to school. Same thing with Donald Trump. They learn it through the practice in the real world, not necessarily going through college. And it's just another system to put people in debt and slavery.
It is, but at the same time, if you go about it the right way, you can learn how to learn at a very deep level. And depending on whether you want to get sucked into what happens after college, you can still press on and not let it dominate you, not let it pull you in.
Right.
Andrew's spoken of the collegiate systems for recruitment. I mean, they're very much oriented towards pulling people into the system itself, into the matrix. But you don't have to make that choice, which obviously you did not.
No, I was very conscious as a little girl, and I've always known from right and wrong, and that's why I've always been considered, as I call myself, as the white sheep in the family.
Yes.
Because I've always see things, and they're not. They're always lacking behind. See, like any normal family, you want to go with the system. You know, you celebrate Easter, Christmas, and I'm like, Easter? We're not even Christian. Why are we celebrating Easter?
Yeah. Well, I think
my mother would say, you know, Nicke, you're so morbid. I'm like, what's so morbid? That's Christianity. I'm not Christian.
I think a lot of people get caught up into those practices. It's commercial, it's social. You know, you got bright, shiny things that taste nice. You know, it's all part of the kind of attraction of the system itself.
Stimulating the economy. That's what That's
precisely. Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when I say things like that, my mother would kind of outcast me for bringing that, because as a young woman, you're not allowed to speak in that tone. You know, and I'm like, no, that's not how I am. And coming from a very strong dragon blood family, that's what you do. That's what we do.
Now, as far as your telepathic talents, your mental talents, can you give us a sort of a profile of the sorts of things that you've done as an energy adept, as someone who can work in the etheric? Because obviously you've been in that space your entire life.
Wow, where do I even start with that? I've been manifesting for a very long time. I remember being in 10th grade. I wanted to go Hawaii, had a vision about me going to Hawaii, in which I did. So I joined this school, this club, like a marketing club, and it was very cheap when as a school, and that was, and that was another confirmation. At 17-year-old, I acknowledged I had to reach an enlightenment at a certain level. There's different level of enlightenment. I was healing myself, and I was actually levitating off my bed and consciously aware, awakened, levitating off the bed. So that was at 17.
Very cool. Were you receiving any metaphysical training from others, or was it all happening from within you?
It's all within me.
And you've obviously had different lifetimes.
Yes.
And has it always been the same? Were you always self-trained during those lifetimes, or did you have mentors?
Well, it depends how far you want to go. Because I've lived so long, a lot of it has to do with just self-activation, or you could go out, and you see things, symbol or something, it'll trigger, it'll activate your memory of who you were in the past. And then when you remember that, it's like, I remember I can do this, then all of that just happened. Your skill, your abilities, your gifts, all of that gets activated. Okay, and also depends on your current life situation, what you need, because you don't want everything to get activated, and you just slowly do as much as you can handle, because life happens, and you have to have your life experience as well.
Yeah, so you got to be Nicke as well as doing whatever these talents and abilities are presented to you for, whatever purpose they're presented to you for. So speaking of that purpose, you've obviously been working as a healer for quite some time.
I have always been with my energy touching people, but it's not something that I ever take credit for. I do want to say that all of us are light workers, because we're made of light, because it's a worker, because everyone works, everyone do things, that's considered a worker, so everyone's a light worker. In my case, it's rather unique with my experiences. Because I came from the original seed of Merlin, whereas same as Andrew, I have access code to a lot of things, and because of that, I have to not suggested or free will. I have to, and that's what I have chosen, contracted myself for, and is to maintain a neutral, sacred space. And that is very important, because when you hold the keys to the whole universe, it's a greatest responsibility. Greatest responsibility, and it means that sometimes you have people step over you or hurt your feelings, whatever. You take all of that for a betterment of humanity.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. So the other things that you generally practice in your day-to-day, apart from healing, are doing readings for people and giving them information and advice about their life path.
Yes, I do that. I also provide ancestral karmic healing, and I call it's not a release, it's a healing. Okay, many times when the human die, they let's say in a war they got shot, they still hold that memory. So you have to provide them with the blessing and the healing and the compassion for them in that situation, and then allow it to once they're healed, then where do you think they're going to go? Of course, everything wants to go back to the light, to the source. So in my healing practice, I don't focus on the word release at all, because there is nothing to release. As long as you tap into healing the person, like it's like saying you have a glass full of water, or is it half full? When it's half full, all you have to do is fill in the glass with water. When it's full, then it's ready to go where it needs to be. And you can only go up, it's not going down. You see? And all of us, I have a joke for myself. There is no labor law in this. We do not discriminate against demons, Satan's entities, ETs, or humans, or any light being. So everyone, everything has the opportunity to receive healing and to attain enlightenment and ascension.
Everything is just energy in the end.
Yes, it is. Ultimately.
Of one flavor or another.
Yes, now, and let's not. Some people get that deceived where they ignore their past and their healing process, and they think I'm already in that oneness, when in fact they're not. Ignorance is that's something that one has to look at. It takes years for self-healing.
In your current particular situation, you have gone through this process where you've been through university, you've developed your abilities to a point where you can sustain yourself day to day, etc. Yet you have a far greater purpose here that I've picked up bits and pieces of in your conversations, the small number of conversations that I've actually heard you have with Andrew, as far as what comes next for the world that's coming. And I'm kind of jumping to this because I've got my eye on the time here. There's a lot of questions that we can ask you, but we can do that over a period of time. And the key thing I wanted to jump into today was something you mentioned yesterday, the birth of the new Earth. Now, your role here as a healer and as someone who helps people, resolve their karmic issues is only one part of what you're doing.
Yes.
And the event that you spoke of with Andrew, the birth of the new Earth, that is something that affects everybody and everything that's going to happen. So could you tell us, if there was the birth of something, was there a conception and an evolution, then a birth, and how did it play out?
Okay, I'll put it in the human psychology form, 3D, and that is like remember the period when the shift from 1950 to 1970s, it was a great shift. And you can tell by the way people dress, the way they think, the whole attitude. So the shift, that's what you're going to see in the new Earth. Except, the new Earth is going to be more a higher conscious style of life for people, for their existence, okay, with much higher moral and ethics, where people taking responsibility for their actions. And also as an individual and also as community. And for anyone to claim that, to give new birth, you have to lead a different lifestyle. It's not just somebody come off from the street. You do have to clean your karma. Okay, that's really necessary. clean your karma, and in order for all of that to take place. And the birth of New Earth took place on July 5th in 2013 at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
And what was the process by which that birth actually took place for you? How did you see it and experience it?
Well, the week before I had arrived in Seattle meeting up with Andrew, I had a vision. I was going to this place, and it was a party in someone's backyard. I saw the table, everything. The backyard was gorgeous. And I see all these people sitting around very happy with the sun out. And I said, oh, there's a party. And I said, okay, so what kind of party is this? And they say, oh, it's a baby shower. And I look at myself going, whose baby shower? It's not me. I'm leaving right now. Mm-hmm. So I start, going back into the house. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, because Andrew had invited me to come out, and he didn't tell me that. He said, Nicke, come and do an interview, and I want you to meet some key people. I'm like, this is interesting. Mm-hmm. And he said, come and have fun, and my intuition is telling me, no, this sounds like a really hard work. I'm not quite sure what it is yet, but it sounds really hard work.
So you sort of got the feeling that something important was going to happen.
Yes.
So up to this point,
yes.
you were not aware that this process was going to take place?
No, because you don't want to know everything. Had I known, I don't think I would want to go. I probably would have stayed here and do it by myself.
Okay.
Yeah, because I've always done a lot of things on my own.
So you kind of got ambushed.
But everything worked out,
mm-hmm.
and so I got there, and then the next day I went into my meditation, and I did some major healing for some of the people that were there at this particular site. And before I arrived, Andrew had everyone put on a top security system. And you could feel the energy when I walked in. It's like beautiful, very safe energy. And I was glad that happened. And so I did all this healing. When I finished, and I never do this, especially when I go to people's house that I never met before, and I asked one day the gentleman who hosts the house, I said, can I take your, Epsom salt bath, please? And he was so gracious, and I did that. I cleansed after I did this major healing and releases for many of the light workers. And then after that, by about 12:30, I sat down on the patio, and then that's where it came out. My whole entire soul, body, divinity, everything was completely vaporized into the sun. It's like another form of like cleansing at the highest level. So after that, and then that's when first came out the sun and the moon. The third planet came out was Saturn, Venus, and then Earth and Mars were competing to come out. So finally they did come out. And after that, I went beyond. I went to, as Andrew said to me, Nicke, you went to ninth dimension. I mean, I went beyond. I just completely like gone. And I set this in the backyard patio, doing this by myself. And it was just, you can't describe it. It's just beyond. And after I finished, I felt like part of my body, like I miss like my soul, my divinity. And for those of you who already felt that connection, that where you already had achieved the ultimate unity of mind, body, and soul, you'll know it, because that feeling was gone. Like I felt empty, and it was horrible feeling.
How do you and did you recover from that? How did you resolve that?
That took me all day since that time, the whole evening to recover, because after that there were women there, beautiful energies of women that were there to help support me, and I asked to be put in on the ground to connect with the Mother Earth, and they put flowers on my head, and I was completely paralyzed. Completely paralyzed.
You had help from others during this process, I gather.
Yes,
though you didn't know who they were helping you.
Yes, and 3 of them were mothers, So I needed that motherling energies to help with the process because I have never given, birth in this lifetime, in the physical lifetime yet. So, you hear the story, you study, but, that's different, right? Learning from books to the actual experience. And the whole process really, it felt like I was really giving birth, literally. The pain, the agony, it was very, very profound, very profound.
So then those planets now exist in a new form, unseen by us at this stage?
I'm sorry?
We can't see those. We can't see the new Earth. We can't go there yet as entities as we are now?
Well, when this process was happening, I actually, I tune into the beings out there in the galaxy, and every one of them were like applauding, happy. And I also saw some, the bad guys in spacecraft, and they were flying, and then all of a sudden they just get zapped away, zapped. Because now the new Earth exists. All that is old that don't belong in this new paradigm, they get zapped away. And literally they were zapping away. And then there were some beings like the Pleiades, Sirians, other representatives of various different planets actually came to help me put back my physical body because I was vaporized, completely vaporized. And like I said, I was completely paralyzed. And Andrew helped me, trying to do some healing on me. Katie's another one, helped me, and Elise also helped me. There were some other people there too, but these were some of the key people that literally helped me. And I was very blessed to have these people help me through the process because it was like real giving birth. And then after all of that was over, you still have to get rid of, you have the placenta, right? And I had to get rid of that. And the placenta is not the actual placenta, but it's actually the karma from Earth, okay, that was carried within me, okay, that had to come out. And literally I couldn't do it. And Elise was trying to tell me, because she had given 2 live births before, she was trying to train me to do the breathing. I had the hardest time and had no energy, and I had to drink what I call galactic juice that I had, Elise made. And then drinking that with that energy, I just decided to just pull the energy out myself because it was just too harsh. It was very painful. You feel all the karma of Earth. It was very, very painful. And I know it wasn't mine. It wasn't mine. So that had to come out. After that, it was much better, but I was still recovering even after that.
So you obviously haven't given birth to physical planets, but are we talking about energetic souls of planets that have been rebirthed? What is it that we've actually received as a part of the gift?
The physical Earth is here, but we're talking about, it's like, okay, how should I explain? Okay, it's like your physical body. Your physical density is here, but you can also see your soul and your divinity, okay? And that's the one we're talking about.
Yep.
Your soul and divinity have to unite with this physical body, okay? When you do energy healing on yourself, okay, as, into increasing your high vibration frequency, changing your diet, all of that, it changed, and that energy is different. And especially when you do ancestral karmic healing, you feel 10 times lighter, and with all of that, when you connect with the physical body, you're like, oh my God, I feel like a new person.
Yeah.
And that's the new Earth feeling.
Okay, so
that's the new Earth.
It's literally a massive energetic space created for us to move into, to form the new planet. Would that be an accurate representation of it? Wow. You had energetic help at the energetic level from others? You mentioned
not
really.
And I'm finicky about receiving energy healing from other people. My body went into convulsion to release this energy. It was horrible. Literally, I was convulsing my whole body with it.
Nicke, we're coming up to the end of the show, unfortunately. We'll continue. There's obviously questions about the transition from where we are to that new place, but you'll be back on the show, and we can discuss that next time you're back on.
Sure.
But thank you for your story. It's been absolutely fascinating. Andrew, I think we're going to have to start doing 3-hour shows. It's not enough. We've got the 60.
Something I want to add, there were 178 other women that shared the experience with Nicke, and Nicke's been contacted by 3 of them so far.
I know telepathically that there's a couple of them. One is in Norway and one is in China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then,
let's have that story next time, Andrew, because I think we'll run out of the stream, and we don't want people to miss out on that. So, look, I'd just like to thank all 4 of you, Lance, Hope, Nicke, Andrew, and the audience, and everyone listening here, on planet, off planet, everywhere. So if you guys just quickly say your goodbyes, we'll squeeze it in.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, we just made it. We've got the 10-second call. Thank you, everybody, so much. We'll be seeing you actually tomorrow. We've got one more show for the week. Thanks. See you then. Bye for now.